The recent reports swirling around a World War Hulk storyline have sent many MCU fans into overdrive, trying to put together the pieces of what might occur in the near future in order to lead up to such a massive comic book event. With the Hulk having been largely left out to dry in terms of having his own solo adventures since 2008, it's refreshing to see Bruce Banner and the Incredible Hulk finally have a film to which they can shine. But is it possible that the World War Hulk storyline might actually be far wider and have bigger implications on the MCU as a whole than we previously had been led to believe? Well, stick with us, watchers of the Marvel Multiverse, as we delve into the popular fan theory that World War Hulk will actually serve as the climactic culmination for Phase 4 as a whole. First though, we'd like to thank today's sponsor. Before we get too much farther, we have a question from our gracious sponsor, Surfshark VPN. Are big corporations keeping their strings on you, trying to control and see what you're doing by using your personal data against you? Surfshark has the solutions needed to encrypt your data, prevent unwanted eyes from seeing just what you've been looking for, and preventing them from foiling your well-laid plans. Now, imagine you are in Sokovia. After a long day of building your master plan, you might want to lay back and watch your favorite Marvel movies on Netflix. But when you go to look for the show you want to watch, it's playing somewhere in the United States. Rather than having your plans foiled yet again, you simply use Surfshark to change your location and can watch movies and content from the country that you have now selected. Use our special code and get yourself 83% off plus an extra 3 months free. Surfshark also has a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no reason for you to wind up. Don't forget, the link is down in the description, and let's get right into the topic. The theory of World War Hulk becoming the ultimate culmination and antagonist in Phase 4 stems from the theory that the pattern in the MCU tend to follow up until this point in time, with each of the previous entries in a phase ultimately leading up to a larger, grand-scale team-up event, followed by an epilogue film. Phase 1 famously culminated in the first assembly of the Avengers, and while Phase 1 didn't have an epilogue film like the latter two phases, this builds up to a grand spectacle, and this will be the part that we will be analyzing. The second phase, while technically ending with the release of Ant-Man, largely culminated with Age of Ultron, and Phase 3 quite famously ended with the back-to-back behemoths that were Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. Though again, Phase 3 had a sort of epilogue in the form of Spider-Man Far From Home, much like how Ant-Man served as an epilogue for Phase 2. As of now, it seems that the largest threats facing the Avengers as of now are the likes of King the Conqueror and the early iteration of the Dark Avengers. But given how Marvel pushed off Thanos for 3 whole phases before having him come into direct conflict with the Avengers, it seems unlikely that King will be the culmination of Phase 4, and is rather being set up as a larger overarching threat that will bleed into Phase 5. The Dark Avengers might be a considerable threat, and are not necessarily ruled out as this final culmination of Phase 4, but given how large their roster has the potential of being, it also wouldn't be unreasonable to find out that they will spend the duration of Phase 4 building their own team, and maybe the main threat of Phase 5, and maybe even onward. However, as of now, this idea is a toss-up. There's also the possibility that the Dark Avengers won't serve as a folly for the main Avengers team, and it will serve as sort of a Marvel version of the Suicide Squad, with the Dark Avengers never really culminating as a massive threat at all. It should also be noted that there is no Avengers film slated for Phase 4, meaning that the big culmination for the first time ever will not actually be an Avengers film, but will have to serve some other purpose in some other film. So what exactly is that, and what could warrant the assembly of all of the remaining Avengers in one climactic film? We theorize that one potential possibility is the Incredible Hulk himself, especially given the recent news regarding the development of a World War Hulk-centric storyline. In the comics, the World War Hulk plotline saw the Green Goliath marching on an unstable rampage against some of the premier heroes in the Marvel Universe. He directly attacked the Baxter Building, laid waste to the X-Mansion, and faced off against many of the Avengers in their own home tower, not to mention wreaking havoc across the surrounding civilian population. He did this on a direct hunt for the group known as the Illuminati, which consisted of Tony Stark, Reed Richards, and Professor X, among others, as direct revenge for his forced exile, wherein they imprisoned him on a spaceship and banished him to the outer reaches of the galaxy, ultimately landing him on Sakaar, where he commenced the Planet Hulk storyline. In the comics, the World War Hulk storyline and event was just that, an event, and it was billed as exactly that. To put things lightly, this was a big deal, and was a whole lot more than just a few comic storylines. This was a massive event that spanned multiple comics and multiple different character perspectives. This event drew direct attention from some of the most powerful Earthbound MCU heroes, and led to a sizable crossover event wherein the different corners of the Marvel Comics collided against one threat, with the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, and the Avengers all being on the forefront. That threat was, of course, the Hulk. Though the storyline would likely have to be retconned in accordance with the events of Thor Ragnarok, there is still a feasible reality wherein the Hulk becomes so enraged that he seeks the utter destruction of those that he once trusted and worked alongside. One possibility directly relates to the unseen gamma experiments that Bruce Banner conducted between the events of Infinity War and Endgame in order to merge his personality with that of the Hulk. It's important to note that despite what Bruce said, there seems to be no indication of the Hulk's personality being present in Avengers Endgame. The rage that consumes the Hulk, as well as his own hopes and desires, seem to be entirely absent, potentially even deliberately suppressed by Banner. And instead of, as he claims, combining the two personalities into one being, he seems to only have his mind in the Hulk's body, inheriting his brute strength, not actually a merging of the two of them. If Bruce effectively imprisoned the Hulk away, it could feed into the tremendous rage when the Hulk finally, inevitably breaks free. After all, the Hulk only broke free in times of crisis, and got to live out his existence in the real world upon his transformation. What if the Hulk has been living in prison within Banner's very mind? With Banner taking this transformation away and taking the Hulk's strengths for himself, he may have, in theory, nullified his ability to transform, and trapped the Hulk within his own mind without any physical body. As we know, the Hulk and Bruce Banner are not the same entity, they merely inhabit the same physical body. It would be this imprisonment, an inability to break free, that would likely be an event that could colossally enrage the Hulk, as if he was able to break the chains that bind him and re-emerge in his savage state, having been more angry and having more raw power channeled through his body than ever before. This would definitely be an event that would warrant the intervention of all of Earth's remaining Avengers. It is interesting to note that during the post-credit scene of Shang-Chi in The Legend of the Ten Rings, we see Banner in his human form once again. And while it's unclear what exactly happened between the events of Shang-Chi and Endgame, this could play a part in the Hulk's upcoming World War Hulk storyline. Of course though, first we have She-Hulk, which will likely delve into this even further. In the comics, and to a degree in the MCU, the Hulk is driven by his ostracization from humanity and his public perception as a ruthless, vengeful monster. Which is why on Sakaar, he found a degree of acceptance where in an environment, his propensity for combat and battle made him into a local celebrity. And with Universal holding the rights to a solo Hulk project, turning World War Hulk event into a larger MCU team-up could allow Marvel Studios to tell a Hulk-centric storyline that takes a deep dive into his character while not technically making it into a Hulk solo film, and theoretically circumventing the rights issue, allowing them to tell the story that they want without the rights coming into play at all. Much like how Avengers Infinity War was largely Thanos' movie, the World War Hulk event might be an Avengers film in title while actually being focused on the inner workings of the Jade Giant, allowing for an incredibly intense team-up as the Avengers seek to stop their friend and his destructive rampage. But anyway, my friends, what do you think of this theory? And would you like to see the World War Hulk film be the culmination of Phase 4? Or do you believe it would be better executed as a smaller project? As always, my friends, thanks again to our sponsor Surfshark. Hit that subscribe button to assemble and join our team, and have a great day.